Welcome to Taurus, your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 29th of June for the Ascendant, the Sun, or the Moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first of all. On screen is your event chart as we go into the week. I'll unpack that. Helps us to understand the backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So we have a full moon on Monday, but we also have Mercury going into a retrograde just after Mars has moved out of your zodiac sign and just before Jupiter moves into Leo. So what a start to the week. Absolutely ram-packed with action. The overall theme for you personally, I feel, is a lot of potential to discuss things, and particularly around finances, with some brilliant ideas being sparked. However, there could also be some conversations going on that just bog you down a little bit, and I'm going to explain exactly why. But Jupiter moving into your fourth house gives you a fabulous opportunity over the next 13 months to shape your home and family and emotional life much more in the way that you'd like. So on the screen, Taurus, is your event chart. As ever, we need to look at the luminaries. The moon is not quite in opposition to the sun at midnight on Monday. It will go into the opposition and the full moon later in the day. And the moon's in the part of your chart that's to do with almost like the higher purpose, your philosophies. It can be to do with you being a truth seeker, if you like. Whereas the sun in the third house in Cancer, it's very much about trying to connect your thoughts and conversations with your feelings. But because Mercury also goes retrograde at the start of this week, inevitably there could be some cross wires. And just to mention on that score that the Sun starts the week in a right angle with the mysterious vibe of Neptune. If you do find it a little bit difficult to tease out some information from Sun this week, and you're really weighing up making an important move, don't make that move until you're really sure. Because with Mars in a link to Uranus, the potential is that a more impulsive side of your nature could come out, particularly around resources or spending money. Now, your ruler Venus starts this week in Leo. It's going to be joined by Jupiter. If you do like and enjoy playing host, there's a good chance you will invite someone around this week. But Venus actually forges a very strong link to Saturn, maybe to do with a family relationship. It could be someone you've known for a very long time. You can really appreciate the roots of that relationship and perhaps all the history that's attached to it. But there is definitely an opportunity to use your mind and your ideas in a very creative way. But with Jupiter moving on Tuesday into the sign of Leo, in an overall context, what the opportunity that he brings is perhaps to change where you live to make it more spacious, more comfortable, perhaps add to your family. It may be to relocate. It could be to get nearer to family. It may be that you're going to be traveling, moving your home to somewhere further afield. All of that's possible over the next 13 months. But this week, what Jupiter does immediately on Tuesday is come into a right angle with Chiron in your sign. And it's important if you do want to visualize something you want from your emotional future, that you don't let any sense of a lacking or an inability to get what you need get into your thinking. I think Chiron is a very psychological influence. So it's really saying to you over the next 2.5 or so months to really think very positively about your value as an individual. So the only other big takeout to tell you about, I feel, is we do have that brilliant link between Mercury and Jupiter at the very start of the week. If you run a business from home, despite that retrograde, there could be some good news. But I think it is really that Mars forges a T-square with the nodal axis. So if you do something more impetuously around resources, I think it's probably better only to buy something that has a practical value. If you do something as an absolute punt, I don't necessarily think that's going to work out in in such a good way. It could be that you rush something and it actually proves to be costly and also not have the value that you want. I'm going to summarize those four areas of vitality, work, relationships, and finances next. If you've yet to watch your Jupiter into Leo forecast, or your July monthly forecast, if you click on the eye on the screen, you can go to watch those. I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Now it's buy one and get three, three for the price of one. Please see below for more. So, to summarize those four areas, I think your emotional energy could be a little bit sensitive this week. For example, if you hear something or read something, perhaps on social media, it could just get into you a little bit if you feel that other people are not quite as supportive or as understanding of your situation as they could be. And it would be easy to perhaps think things down a little bit on the back of that full moon and with Mercury going retrograde. So that's going to be important. And with Neptune in a square to the Sun, if you try to do too much and scatter yourself too thinly, I think fatigue could be the outcome. As far as your finances are concerned, that combination between Mars and Uranus could see you make a quick decision. So, as I mentioned, I think it needs to be, if you do decide to spend on something that has a practical value to you, not something that's more frivolous. But I think if you are tempted to spend money, it may be on your home. As far as relationships are concerned, you can see that as the week begins, Venus is in the feeling fourth house. If there is someone that you've got a deep connection to going over a long period of time, that link between Venus and Saturn can help you to celebrate that longevity and the value of that relationship. But I think if you're footloose and fancy free, uh, the third house energy is very interactive. So you have a chance, despite the retrograde, to perhaps meet up and mix and mingle with people. But if you are drawn towards perhaps internet dating, just be conscious that that doesn't necessarily always work out in the way people hope if you want a more sincere relationship, it seems. I mean, I know people have met people online and have great relationships, but you also hear a lot from my clients that internet relationships are viewed as very transactional and don't necessarily give you a long-term connection. But obviously, there can be the exception to that thought. As far as your professional situation is concerned, there is that theme with Pluto at the top of your chart. If you're open to transforming, open to doing different things in different ways, embracing technology and the way the world of work is shifting, I think you're going to be doing absolutely fine. If you're not really enjoying what you're doing at the present time, I think this can be a time of a lot of conversations and discussions to try to get a clearer idea of what works for you. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Have a great week and look forward to seeing you again soon.